Welcome back to Terror by the Bay. I'm David. Okay, breaking news. The Supreme Court today rejected a request by Jack Smith to fast-track arguments on whether Donald Trump has any immunity from federal prosecution for alleged crimes he committed while in office. This move will likely delay the trial, the January 6th trial. Okay, so the Supreme Court did not say why they weren't going to take this case up quickly, nor did they mention if anybody dissented, and if so, who it was, or how many people dissented. Or, heck, who even ruled on it. Don't have the information on that. This is being considered a victory for Trump because, as we all know, Donald Trump tries to delay everything, which now means that this case will go to the D.C. Court of Appeals, which Jack Smith has already asked to fast track, and they have oral arguments beginning on January 9th, 2024. So it will move through there, but whatever decision the D.C. Appellate Court makes, it's going to get appealed to the Supreme Court, which is why Jack Smith's argument makes sense. Now, Trump's counter-argument is that you can't rush these things. You need to take your time. And let's see, it's at the bottom of the CNN article. Let's see. But Trump's team... The fact that this case arises in the vortex of political dispute warrants caution, not haste. Then at the end of this article, Trump is basically... He's fundraising off it, of course. The Supreme Court just denied the Biden prosecution's emergency request to rob, all caps, me of my right to presidential immunity. I will still have to fight for my rights in the appeals court, as the Biden special counsel will do everything in their power to rush my fake trial and wrongly convict me before the 2024 election. You know, again, if he actually thought he had a winning case, he should want this to go before the Supreme Court as quickly as possible. Save himself hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in legal fees, get rid of all these court cases, and then he can just focus on kicking Biden's butt in November. But he doesn't want it rushed through there. He wants it slowed down through the court process, which tells you that this is all just a delay tactic. Okay, now, before we get too annoyed or depressed or whatever with the Supreme Court, Bo with Fifth Column had an interesting podcast a couple of days ago or yesterday, I forget which, where he was discussing the Supreme Court looking for GOP politicians for guidance. Because as we know, this court is no longer an independent, unbiased body. It is definitely right-leaning and in favor of the GOP. So if you look at what prominent GOP politicians were saying, and Bo covered this. He predicted this is what would happen, is that the Supreme Court's going to look for what they're saying. The GOP congressional people are like, oh my God, how could they do this to Donald Trump? The Supreme Court shouldn't do this. They need to protect Donald Trump, blah, 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 blah. The Supreme Court's looking at these guys at face value. Oh, they want us to protect Donald Trump. But the thing is that a lot of these... members in the GOP are saying you have to protect Donald Trump, but really what they want is the Supreme Court to move quickly and remove him so that they can put on this fake face of, but we tried to defend Trump. He's our hero. And inside they're going, oh, thank God this guy is gone. I can go back to being my normal corrupt self as opposed to having to kiss his spray tan orange butt all the time. You know, but... Oh, the Supreme Court stated that's what they're doing. They're gonna not see it a fast track. This kind of caught me off guard because between the Colorado case and the January 6th, you'd think they'd want to fast track something like this and just get this out of the way, because this isn't going to be a difficult case to decide. Based on the Constitution. This shouldn't be a real problem here, but this just tells you where the Supreme Court is with its 6 conservative justices. The other thing, before we get too depressed again, Likely this will delay Jack Smith's case, which means that Donald Trump will go through the Iowa caucuses, Super Tuesday and all that, likely unconvicted of any crimes against the country. Which means that the likelihood that Donald Trump will be the Republican nominee goes way up. And then these court cases probably start beginning in late spring, early summer, and go through summer after he's been named the GOP nominee, and all hell's going to break loose when he starts getting convicted. And now the Republicans have this guy on the ballot. And again, Bo had covered this. I'll try and see if I can find that video and link it in the description. If the GOP played ball with this case and tried to encourage the Supreme Court to rule on it quickly, they could have gotten Trump out of the way quickly, and now you could put up a candidate like Ron DeSantis or Nikki Haley or somebody like that, who would be miserable and wretched in their own ways, but not Donald Trump. And then the GOP could all unite behind that candidate. But they didn't do that. The other thing to consider is, and I was considering this today during work, if Trump is on the ballot, a lot of people are motivated to go out and vote for the Democrats. Think of 2022 when Trump wasn't on the ballot, and we didn't quite get as many people, especially young people, out voting as we would have liked, which is why we ended up losing the House. If Trump is on the ballot, I strongly suspect these young people are going to get out and vote. And then you throw on there all the assault on women's rights and stuff like that. There's a lot of motivated people to get out there and vote. So having Trump on the ticket, I want to say, if he weren't on the ticket, some people may not be quite so motivated to get out and vote. Because Trump's not there, I don't have to worry about it. Trump's on there, you have to worry about it. So there could be that too. So this might be a blessing, as annoying as it is. Okay, so let's read on the general energy here. Spirit, can we look at the Supreme Court rejecting hearing Donald Trump's case, in Jack Smith's case, about presidential immunity? I would have thought it would have happened sooner. What's the energy? Why did they kick this thing back? It's a burden. It's too hard. It's like they want to kick this kid. They don't want to deal with this. They know they're going to have to. It's almost like they're not ready for it. And I hate to say that, like, oh, we wanted our Christmas break and we don't want to have to work during our Christmas break. That might not be fair, but they know this is going to be a difficult case. And I think Bo was right. They don't have the political cover from the Republicans to go forward with this. Cross with the emperor. Presidents are not kings. And they know that. But I don't think they want to confront it yet because Donald Trump put half of them on the Supreme Court. This shouldn't be a difficult case, but they don't want to deal with it. Okay, and that might be why. Because there's money involved. It's not like Supreme Court justices can be bought and paid for, right? It's not like there's wealthy donors out there that are compensating Supreme Court justices and their lifestyles with gifts and vacations and use of private yachts and private jets and things like that. That doesn't happen. I mean, if that happened, you could make the argument that this Supreme Court or several justices are corrupt and have been bought out. You could probably make that argument, but we know that doesn't happen because our Supreme Court is above reproach. They would never be bought out. And there'd be no evidence of it whatsoever. Right, Mr. Thomas with Harlan Crow? In the past, Eight of Cups. I think they were just hoping Donald Trump would go away. They wouldn't have to deal with Donald Trump. And when he got voted out in 2020, they probably breathed a sigh of relief because their jobs would be less difficult. And this could very well be, their jobs are difficult when Donald Trump is around. When he left, their jobs were less difficult because he's not constantly pressuring them to tell them what to do, which, they want to work in the background, not in the foreground when they're doing corrupt things. Current situation, 10 of Swords. They know when they rule on this, they're going to have to rule that presidents aren't kings, that he doesn't have immunity, and it's going to bring an end to the Donald Trump presidency, his candidacy, and everything else. They know that's what's going to happen. It could also be that if they rule against him, they may lose their jobs too. But if they rule for them, when Trump becomes president and dictator for life, he has no need for the Supreme Court. So somebody's going to lose on this one. So that's where the agreements come in. There's agreements. I think the wealthy donors that totally don't own Supreme Court justices, entertainment purposes only, came to an agreement. Let's say there was some corruption on the Supreme Court. Now, just throwing that out there. Let's just say there was some money in their buyout. It would be like there was an agreement to delay this thing because, we need to help Trump along with his candidacy. And it's okay to delay it and let justice go slowly. The lesson to be learned, there's still a lot of fights left. There's still a lot of court cases, and they're just going to let Trump battle through those cases as slowly as possible. This is not necessarily a quick battle. It's a slow battle. This is just playing to Trump's thing where he wants delays. And, they know they're going to have to face this case eventually. The question is, can they delay it long enough to get past the election that's coming up? There's some wealthy people that would really like Donald Trump in power, and they have influence over the Supreme Court. The upcoming American oligarchy. So I think that's why the Supreme Court kicked this back. They have powerful, wealthy, I'm sorry, they don't have powerful and wealthy friends encouraging them to delay this case because the powerful and wealthy friends that they don't have wouldn't want Donald Trump to be president and dictator for life and then be the oligarchy that really runs the power behind the country. They would totally hate that. Okay, so next question. Will this delay allow for Donald Trump to become the Republican nominee for the 2024 election? Right now, I'm assuming that he's ahead in all the polls and he would be the nominee, but will this delay help him secure that nomination? And that's part of the agreement. Then that came up on the top of the card here. That's the idea. They want Donald Trump to secure the nomination for the GOP. We have justice delayed. Oh, but then you're stuck with and women in the world. Yeah. In the end of the day, they want Trump to be the Republican nominee. And they are the wealthy donors and the people that maybe have influence over the Justice Department. But this is like their last play. This is their end run, their final go at it. They feel like if they don't get Trump in, their chances at absolute power in the United States are going away. This is their last play. This is their big play here. The problem is, once Trump is nominated, you're stuck with him. Because the court cases will have to come. The Supreme Court would be very hard-pressed to rule that presidents are kings. Because if they did that, then Biden doesn't have to leave. and then you're stuck with Biden. So they have to delay this. Trump gets to be the nominee. They try and delay this thing until after the election, if they can delay it that long. I don't think they can. But they're going to have to rule on it eventually. And if they're going to rule by anything close to the Constitution, they're going to rule that presidents are not kings. But we have the women celebrating here. And I think what happens is that if Donald Trump becomes the Republican nominee, young people, women, and members of the LGBTQ plus community all come to the polls because they have to. They have to protect their rights. This is going to backfire spectacularly on the GOP. And again, I mentioned Bo's thing. It was a great, insightful piece here that by doing this, again, you're the Republicans, by not being straightforward and just saying, yeah, we don't want Trump in there anymore, he's a traitor to this country, they didn't give the Supreme Court any cover. And the Supreme Court wanted that political cover. And they didn't seem to be getting any political cover. So they punted. And now the GOP are stuck. They were given a lifeline to get out from underneath Trump's shadow and nominate Nikki Haley or nominate Ron DeSantis. And they were too cowardly to be upfront about it. And maybe we're trying to, lie through their teeth or, just be two-faced about it. But the Supreme Court took them at face. When you're two-faced and they take you at face value, the two-faced people don't get what they want. So now they're stuck. And I think that's going to motivate young people, women, and members of the LGBTQ community to get out and vote in numbers too big to rig. All right. Will Trump being on the ticket, it's ready to go here, ensure that that the Republicans do not take the congressional houses or the presidency? It's part of the big plan. It's working its way through right now. We'll do a 6-quarter. There's the Supreme Court again. They were looking forward. They have to rule on eventually. They have to rule on this eventually. They can't just spin it forever. And I think their ruling will have to come before the election is done. There's some mystery behind it right now. It's not clear when they'll rule on it or how long they will take. But they can't. I don't think they can kick the can down the road forever. This is too important a case. And if they do, it's going to cause some problems. If Biden gets reelected and they're going to be political like this, expect that Biden's going to add a bunch of justices to the Supreme Court because it's corrupt. And there's that burden. The burden's now in the past. So as we move through the election cycle, Trump has been named the nominee. Now they have to deal with the karma of their choices. The burden that they were trying to avoid is past. That burden that I had before, with Cross with the Emperor, I think I was saying, it's a decision they don't want to make. That was that 9 of coins. That 9 of coins didn't want that was the burden, were the donors. The wealthy people that maybe are contributing to their lifestyle, telling them to delay. That burden's in the past now. Now they have to deal with it. King of Cups. Is that Biden? Yeah, they might be, and they might be, Biden might be making noises about expanding the court. If this is not Biden, then this is the maturity or the immaturity of the decision. But I think this might be Biden. I think Biden's going to start signaling that the Supreme Court maybe needs to be expanded because of the shenanigans that they've been pulling. waiting for their ship to come in, looking overseas. Oh my God, can you imagine when they have to make this ruling? If somebody's already left the country or planning on leaving the country. Oh, let's see what's happening here. This could also be the election with Biden, the election. Knight of Cups. They have to make their choice. The wheels are spinning. They're past that. It's almost like by the time they make this ruling, it's too late to save themselves. I think Biden's already signaling he would expand the court. Or maybe Biden's even already reelected at this point if they really delay it that much. Biden's already in there, and then they make their decision. They've waited too long to make their decision, and whatever they offer as a decision, it's too little too late. It's too little too late to play nice with the Biden administration. They've shown their political hackery. Yeah, and then judgment comes. Oh, God. Oh, there's that moon card again, the mystery. If this is not Biden, then this is the view that, oh, yes, we have to make an emotionally mature decision now that everything's played its way out. But it's kind of like the messaging is too little too late. This could be that the election hasn't happened yet. This could be the election is, this is the end of summer, beginning of fall as the election's coming near. And now they come up with their decision and their judgment. Presidents are not kings. And this is coming really late in the game. I'm not sure what this is telling me. Does it happen before the election is done? It might happen before the election. The Four of Wands might be election day, so this might be the latter part of the summer is when they finally have to take action and do something with this. And that's going to impact cases and people's perceptions on what's going on. There will be judgment. From all this, there will be judgment. And again, Trump is not in a position where he's going to win this case. It would be against the Constitution for him to win this case. So what do I get from all that in the end? I guess one last one, little four-carder spirit. What else should we take away from this? What is the reasoning for this? Why is this not being fast-tracked? Why are we being forced to endure a Trump candidacy? Or maybe the better question is, what would have happened if the Supreme Court ruled on this quickly? What would have happened? What would have happened if the Supreme Court ruled on this quickly? There's that same thing. If they had ruled, so here's the ruling. So I think that's what was going on. If they had ruled on this quickly, what would have happened? Court cases and the fighting, offers they don't like, part of the plan, Justice Department. If they had ruled on this too quickly, the court cases, Trump would have to be fighting all these court cases. And they wouldn't be able to kick things down the road. If they had ruled on this quickly, I think the donors that they had would be really displeased. And they're doing it in their own best interest. What would have happened? Okay, maybe if they had ruled on this too quickly, it could be that some people wouldn't have been as motivated to go out and vote because, he's in court cases and they think that's going to take care of him. And now they're not motivated to get up. They're just going to sit there, even though they have all these reasons, women's rights, LGBTQ rights, rights for young people and stuff like that. Maybe they're just not motivated to get up, and they won't get up and vote. They would make other plans instead of actually getting out and looking forward to voting and fighting the fight. Yeah. It's like they get lazy. I think what would happen was if Trump wasn't on the ballot, folks would get lazy. They wouldn't go forward with conviction. They'd be looking at the election coming up and just not that interested. There's other things I want to do. You know, he's in these court cases. He's going to get convicted anyways. He won't be president, so I don't have to do what I need to do. Okay. And underneath the King of Wands is the card of naivety. It would be naive to do that. So, okay, so in the end of the day, is this a setback? It sure feels like one. Is Trump going to get this delayed? Yeah, most likely he's going to get it delayed. Will it delay the court cases? Maybe closer to the election? That's possible. Will it? Oh, there's one. Will it free up? Will it free up the Georgia RICO case? Or does it? No. Or does it? That might hold up the Georgia RICO case too. Okay, so I'm not going to throw on that. The only case it may not hold up is the Mar-a-Lago documents case. That's what we need to look at. Will the Mar-a-Lago's documents case suddenly be allowed to move forward? Jack Smith also, the other day, Midas Touch talked about this, sent a couple of things to Judge Cannon asking if she was planning on having this case in May, that she better get on jury selection and send questionnaires out, and what her timeline was doing for that, trying to force her hand. Will this impact the Mar-a-Lago documents case? Will it speed that up or keep it on time? That's the other thing that the other case that's going on. Will they try and kick this one down the road here? No, she's going to try and delay that too. She's trying to delay this one after the elect. This is kind of like the after election card, I think. Now they see the election coming. They're trying to delay it after the election. This is Judge Cannon sitting in there making her rulings, trying to delay things, trying to prevent things. Like, no, we need time to do this. We need time for the jury. We need time to get the questionnaires. She's trying to steal. She's trying to delay this thing till after the election. She's just trying to steal swords at a time to give the court case not enough time to get through there. Delay, delay, delay. We need to delay longer. We need to think about this more. This is a big case we need to prepare for. We can't just go rushing into it. So she's going to try and delay this as well. I know he's calling her bluff on that one, and I think she's going to come back and say, "Oh yeah, we don't have time for this. This is way too much going on." The weaponization of the Justice Department and the intelligence. Don't we have a House committee that's supposed to be looking at the weaponization of the Justice Department? Oh yeah, it's being led by the Republicans, which of course means that instead of looking at this, they're going to look at the investigation into the 2016 campaign. Corrupt as anything. All right. Delay. That's what we got here. But hopefully this works out for us in the end. And that people are motivated, angry, and they get out and vote for their rights, the rights of their friends, and the rights for the women in their lives. That's what we can hope we take away from this. Thank you for watching this video and supporting my channel. I appreciate it. Thank you for everything you do to feed the YouTube algorithm so my video makes it out to a wider audience. To new viewers and people just discovering this channel for the first time, welcome to the channel. I hope you found this reading insightful, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.